Hello and welcome to the Cold Coffee Club, a podcast brought to you by Houston Moms. We're here to give you a little bit of that mom-to-mom connection, fun, and conversation amidst all the chaos. Join us as we take a break from doing all the things and explore the wide spectrum of this crazy motherhood role. We'll interview fun guests, talk about cool grown-up topics, laugh, share, and grow together. So go ahead, reheat that coffee, and put your feet up. Here we go.
Good morning, Cold Coffee Club. Great to be back with you for another episode. Today, we're going to be talking about self-care. I get to sit down with Eleanor Bodwin from Embrace the Mom Bod, and she shares with us how important it is to focus on self-care. And one thing I learned from her, I will tell you this right at the top of the show, because it was mind-blowing. The act of self-care is not selfish. And for some reason, that took a whole lot to get into my brain. I thought it was very selfish to have like hobbies that make you feel whole and to pamper yourself a little bit. A lot of moms, we think that the message of motherhood is to be completely selfless, to give of yourself at all costs. And choosing not to do that at all costs is not selfish. And so that was just, I needed that message. I needed that. But we will get more into that in just a bit. Before we do, let's spill some tea. So my fail this week is that I've been so overwhelmed with work, like to the point where I was just like, can I quit? Can I just walk away and just disappear for a little bit? Is that possible? Is that a thing you can do? I was so over it. Every little thing that could go wrong was going wrong with work. And I was losing it, y'all. I was losing it. And I was like inches away from just telling people off. I was like, don't email me. Don't message me about anything. I'm done. Listen, that it passed, obviously. Thank goodness. And that did definitely spark the urge to go get some self-care. So that leads me into my win, is that I went and got a massage. And it was a game changer. It was so needed. I really just needed to release all this tension in my shoulders. Like my jaw was tight. I'm telling you, I was losing it. And between like just work stuff and obligations I had with my kids, things that we wanted to do, memories we were planning to make, it was just, there was so much to do and there was only one me. And I think this is the perfect episode to focus on, especially if you had a week like I did. You need to be reminded that taking some time to refill your cup is so necessary. We need it before we lose our minds. So take care of yourselves. Take care of yourselves. Go take a break if you need to. Take a breather. I had to put myself in timeout a couple of times this past week because I was like, I'm going to lose it. I'm going to snap on everybody. I need to step away and take some deep breaths. So take care of yourselves. For my cream and sugar this week, I am recommending a show. It's an older show, but it's new to me. If you are a fan of like any executive producer Dick Wolf shows like I am, and you've run the gambit on all those shows, here's one that you might not know about. And it did not do as well as a lot of the other Dick Wolf shows because it has a more urban feel and it didn't really connect with everybody at the time. Everybody who was really into those shows at the time, they weren't really feeling it, which is kind of disappointing, but it's actually a really good show. It's called New York Undercover, and it follows two undercover detectives through New York. And the music on the show is very hip hop and R&B based. The cast is incredibly diverse, and unfortunately at that time it just did not resonate with everybody. And so what happened at the end of New York Undercover's run is Law and Order SVU became what it is today. So that's this show ended in, I believe, February of 99, and then Law and Order SVU premiered in September of 99. So really it's a great show, and it's definitely worth the watch. Unfortunately, it just did not connect at that time. So So SVU kind of became the more palatable version of New York Undercover. So, that says some things about the times. I will say that. But it is a great show. You can find it on Peacock. It is streaming there. So you can find it streaming on Amazon Prime Video and Peacock, and it's a great watch. It's very old school, which is kind of fun. I'm actually enjoying that, and the fact that it's so urban and so different than what we often see on primetime TV was actually it's kind of refreshing, and I really enjoyed it. So definitely check that out if you're needing a show on your list, especially during Christmas break when the kids go to bed. If you're needing just some decompression and some grown-up TV, it's a good watch. All right, so let's get into our topic of the episode. I'm so excited to share. So let's get into our topic of the episode. I'm so excited to share my chat with Eleanor. She was an absolute joy. Like, I feel like I told her after we finished recording, I was like, I feel like we're gonna be friends. So I really enjoyed chatting with her, and let's roll that interview.
This episode of the Cold Coffee Club is brought to you by Next Level Urgent Care. As we enter into the long-awaited fall season, sports injuries, flu bouts, sinusitis, and respiratory illnesses are circling the Houston community. Next Level Urgent Care has you covered for these instances and more. With convenient locations throughout the Houston community and surrounding areas, they are open 7 days a week from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. to serve you. Now, let's get back to the show. So today I have a special guest. We have Eleanor Bodwin. She's a Houston native, and she is a wellness coach and the founder of Embrace the Mom Bod. Welcome, Eleanor. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about who you are, and then of course tell us about what Embrace the Mom Bod is.
Yeah. So, like Ashley said, I am a Houston native, born and raised. I left for school and then came back, so just 4 years. I am, when people say like, tell me about yourself, I'm like, I don't know. I'm like this multifaceted person. Who am I? Like, I'm so many things, right? But I really am just like at my core, like very much a free spirit, fun loving. I love to like experience things with people. And I have been called a pusher in my in my day, like, from Mean Girls, like, I'm a pusher, Katie. I push people. So like so like I am very much somebody who likes to push people to be their best, including myself. Like, and not in like some weird competitive way, just like in a way that's like we have so much potential, and I just love to unlock potential. Like, I see people, like, I feel like I'm the type of person that I just really see people for who they are, and sometimes I'm like, come on, like, we can do this, like, we got to get out of this rut or this whatever. So that's just kind of my personality. I would say, like, I'm a very, like, once you're like a part of my family, like, you're mine forever, and I'm like protective and loving and all that. So and I have lots of random interests and hobbies. So I don't know, there's a lot about me, but we can talk about that.
Yeah.
So Embrace the Mom Bod, it started 2 years ago. And really, it kind of started before then. So I started a blog in 2018. I had been a mom for, I guess, about a year when I started the blog, maybe a year and a half. Mm-hmm. And I really just started it. I was one of the first of my friends to have kids. And I had gone through this whole transition that, all moms go through, of like, you become a mom and all of a sudden you forget yourself. Even if that wasn't your personality, even if you weren't like a self-forgetting person prior to becoming a mom, you become a mom and everything is mom. And I think there were a lot of things that I did very consciously going into motherhood. For example, making sure that I wasn't the mom that had to sleep in my baby's crib because I just couldn't separate, those type of things, because those are real things. Mm-hmm. But what I didn't expect was for me to lose myself. That's not something that I had in the forefront of, like, oh, when you have a kid, you're going to have a baby and you're just going to be like, who's Eleanor? Like, I just did not see that coming at all. Yeah. So, I just kind of looked one day in the mirror and I was like, girl, you have lost it. Like, I wasn't showering regularly. I wasn't doing my hair. I wasn't picking out my outfits. Like, everything was baby and work and baby and work. And that was it. So, I became very intentional about like implementing my self-care back into my routine. And it started with a face mask. It literally started with like 3 days of a face mask. Like 3 days a week, I would do my clay mask. My skin looked terrible at the time. And I was like, okay, I'm going to start slow. And I did that. And like, I just kind of like slowly built. And then I started a blog, and then I fell off the blog. And then like I was in nursing school. I had 2 more kids after that. So then I was a mom of 3. And after I had my 3rd, I was like, I really want to start blogging again. So I was writing this blog about how much I hate snapback culture. I have always hated snapback culture. I lost so much weight after my first son, and people would be like, okay, queen, like, yeah, snapback. And I was like, ugh, I really don't like it though. Like, I wish I didn't lose all this weight. And I've always hated it. So I'm writing this blog post and I was like, this sounds so negative. I was like, this is just not reflective of me. And so I was like, I don't want to sound like I'm bashing anything either. And so all of a sudden I was like, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a national holiday. And so I went online and I found out how you can make a national holiday, and I made National Mom Bod Day. And then from there, Embrace the Mom Bod just kind of grew.
Yeah.
I'm really not the type of person who like has to have everything planned out before I jump in. I typically jump in and like figure things out as I go. And so, so I started the platform, and then I, celebrated the first day. It was really exciting. And since then, I'm a nurse currently, but I started coaching women on how they can, implement self-care into their lives, and really just, I think I'm empowering women to like dismantle the patriarchy and like do a whole bunch of like unconditioning basically, because moms are told like, oh, you have, even if you're not told verbally that we're last, like we have to be last. And I am a very firm believer that you can be the best mom if you actually put yourself first, because then everybody in your family gets the best of you. So I'm just out here trying to dismantle the patriarchy here and get women to be like, no, like me first, and then you get, like, literally life happens through us. So if we can give to ourselves first, like our kids, spouses, whoever, everybody around us will benefit. So that's what I do. That's why I coach women.
I love it so much. Oh my gosh. I'm just like, oh, okay. I love it. I feel like we so often give ourselves the scraps of what is left. Like, okay, well, now I have a minute to like read or just breathe. And we are constantly taught that we need to be just selfless. It's all about giving, and like there's very little brought to like, hey, how can I like give to myself? And I love that that is your focus, is like putting you first. And also, like, I want to talk about what self-care looks like to you, because a lot of us think like, oh, self-care is like go get a mani-pedi, like that's it. Go get your nails done. But like, I don't even want to get my nails done. Like, this is not taking care of me. I'm not getting any benefits from this. My nails look nice. That's it. Like, what does self-care look like to you? What kind of options are out there that people maybe aren't even thinking about?
Okay, so I love that question, because the first thing I'm going to say is like self-care is whatever fills your cup. So we can't go into this like, oh, you must get a massage. You must go get your mani-pedi. Like, what makes you feel good? What makes you feel full? So I can give like my personal examples, and also like just a whole bunch of random things that I think are self-care. So for me, the biggest thing I do is I wake up early and I take care of myself first. I very much enjoy getting a solo shower, doing my hair, putting my clothes on, putting my jewelry on, and just like feeling good about myself before anybody else wakes up. If I wake up at the same time as my kids, I am behind. I am anxious. I am like tired. My brain hasn't even woken up yet. And so that is super important to me. I meditate, I run, I started doing something new, like somatic exercises. Like I do these hip exercises to like release trauma and stress, like that you hold in your body. That's been amazing. And I also love to hang out with my friends. I'm very extroverted. So like for me, hanging out with friends fills my cup.
Yeah.
I don't like to feel isolated. I tend to isolate myself when I'm in an unhealthy state. And we'll talk about that with Enneagram stuff. But like my natural self, I love to be around people, and that really fills my cup. So then on the flip side, one of my best friends, she's like, that would drain the hell out of me.
Yeah.
Like, dude,
Yeah.
that is not self-care, right?
Yes.
But it's crazy because there's so many things. For example, setting a goal for yourself and achieving that goal can be self-care. I want to read 12 books in a year. If that's a goal and you will feel fulfilled that you read a book a month, that's self-care. If some people like to garden, some people like to just sit outside. I love just standing in the grass barefoot, grounding, like the charge from the earth makes me feel so good.
Yeah.
Getting outside and hearing the birds buzzing, sitting in your car for 10 minutes when you get home. I mean, there are so many options to just self-care. Trash TV, limited, because you don't want to go down the path of like becoming angry, but like if that's what fills your cup, it's whatever fills your cup. I mean, there's just so many things. Exercise, yoga, meditation. I mean, I could go on. Sitting in the sun for 10 minutes, it does not matter. It's whatever fills your cup. And I think people think that it has to fit in this box. And it's crazy too, because I used to be this big proponent of like basic care is not self-care. Well, let me tell you something. If basic care is all you can give yourself, you better basic care the hell out of yourself.
Amen.
Give it to yourself. Right. And you have to count that as a win. I think it's the way we look at things. If you're like, oh, I only brushed my teeth today, then you only brush your teeth.
Yeah.
If you're like, I brushed my teeth today, like that's a whole nother mindset of like, I did something today that I didn't do yesterday, and I'm taking care of myself. So I think there's a lot of, preconceived notions on what self-care is. But in reality, like it's whatever fills your cup. Writing, if you like to journal, people like to journal, learning something new, coming up with a passion project. I mean, there are so many women who are like, have lost their passion, have lost their fire for life because they're bogged down with motherhood. And to say, I'm going to spend, I don't know, an hour a week on my passion project, that's self-care.
Yeah. We are starting to become more aware of self-care and how much we need it, and just noticing that one size does not fit all for self-care, that it can be all the things. It is all encompassing. It can be, like you said with your friend, being social is draining to me. That's not self-care to me. Okay, cool. Do your self-care. Awesome.
Yeah.
And just taking those, reframing every little thing and making it like, I did this, I accomplished this for my day, and I didn't do that yesterday. Reframing that and changing your mindset is so important. I love it. So let's dig into Enneagrams, because I'm obsessed with Enneagrams and like how relating to people. And I'm like, what's your Enneagram? Do you want to take the time? Like every time I meet people, I kind of want to find out like what their Enneagram is, but I also don't want to be that weird lady who's always asking people. But I feel like when you start a new job, like I want my new boss to take an Enneagram, or like, tell me more. I want to know who you are. And I feel like Enneagrams are such a great key into who people are, and what they need out of life. So do you have any information about like how Enneagrams come into play when you do self-care?
Totally. So the biggest information I will say about Enneagram and self-care is you have to, I think the biggest thing that helped me was looking at where I go in stress. So are you a 6? I feel like I remember you being a 6.
I am definitely a 6.
Okay, yeah, I remember that from the podcast. Okay, so, 6s, I believe, go to 3 when they're stressed. So it's like, you look at that number of where they're like average to unhealthy are, and what do they start to do when they're stressed. And that's when you have to say, I'm going to recognize that I'm doing that, and I need to do something different. So I can use myself. I'm an 8. And like one thing about me, like there's sayings about 8s is like work hard, play hard, crash hard. So I am like all the time, go. And people ask me all the time, like, how do you do it all? And I'm like, I have no clue. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I will crash hard. And it will be unexpected. And it will be potentially lengthy, like it could be a couple weeks of me just being like, oh my God, I am pooped and I don't know why. And the real reason why is because I did too much. I was doing way too much for way too long and it wasn't sustainable. And so where do 8s go in stress? 5. 5s isolate themselves. They stop taking care of themselves. They become detached. They, become a little like hyper vigilant. And so for me, when I look back at when I became a mom, what did I do? I isolated myself. I stopped taking care of myself. I became detached and I was only focused on my son.
Yeah.
So it was really kind of enneagram work that helped me see like, whoa, girl, snap out of it. All moms, we do that where we focus so much on baby, but it's like, for me, that's also a like stress point that I'm detached from me and that I'm not taking care of me, because my natural is that I love myself and I want to take care of myself. And so I would say anybody, regardless of your number, the first thing I would do would be to look at your stress point and look at those unhealthy traits, average to unhealthy traits, and be like, okay, am I here? Because I feel like I'm here.
Oh yeah. Ooh.
How is that for you, being a 6?
Listen, 6s are, I feel like we are such an overly stressed out type to begin with. So I'm like, sometimes I don't even recognize when it's like where I go in stress and where I'm just being a typical 6.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't even know. So yeah, it's interesting trying to figure out like how to manage everything that is just ping ponging in my head as a 6, and all the things that I'm just like watching out for and paying attention to and being super aware of. And I've never really explored where I go under stress. I've never really explored that. So that's sparking me to like, okay, let's go look at this and let's pay attention to where I am and how I'm reacting. Because I hadn't explored that at all. So I feel like I've been dropping the ball on myself.
Okay, so I pulled you up.
Oh gosh.
So 6 does go to 3 in stress. Yeah. Okay, so 3s are the achievers, right? So imagine a 6 who is already a planner, a little anxious, always wanting things to go that they want them to go, and then you add achievement to that as a mother, right?
Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah.
And and so it's like, now I not only have this huge pressure that I already put on myself because I'm a 6 and I'm always pre-prepared and blah blah blah, and like I have a plan A B C D E, and then it's like as a mother, sometimes you gotta roll with the punches, and you're like putting yourself on this like pedestal of like, okay, now I have to make it look good too, and now my preparedness has to reflect on my baby, and that's tough, right? Because kids throw random stuff at us all the time. Like you never know what you're going to get on any given day when you become a mom. Never. And so that's where I would look. I would go to 3 and be like, okay, what's this unhealthy 3 look like, and how is like 6 intertwined with that? Like where am I losing myself at this point? And it's kind of like changing how I'm operating. That's the biggest thing that I think helps. And also, there's unhealthy traits of just being a 6, just like there's unhealthy traits of being an 8. I take on way too much. I think I can do it all the time, and I have a problem with vulnerability, and I don't like to ask for help because I can do it all.
Right.
All of those things are also true, and those have nothing to do with being a 5. Those have everything to do with being an 8, right? But I would say that a lot of times we don't recognize that we're already in a stress state, and that's kind of like where we can get stuck.
Like the realization of it all, and like having it kind of summed up, like, well, duh, like that makes so much sense. Of course, this is how it's going. Like it made so much sense.
Well, it's very, I look at it as very empowering. Knowledge is so empowering. Once like you can make the proper steps. It's lack of self-awareness that keeps us stuck. It's like, once you're aware, it's on you, girl. Like, it's on us. It's on me. It's on, everybody. Like, and like, I feel like, you you can live in this state of like oblivion. And sometimes I'm so jealous of oblivious people because I'm like, it must be nice. Like,
Yes,
it
it
must
must
be nice.
nice to not be thinking about all these things. Not having all that information in your brain is probably amazing.
It literally, like, tell me more about nothing. Like, it's just like, I wish I had that, you know, ability to just like, oh yeah, like nothing, you know, just flying above it all. But the cool thing is like, once we know, we have the power. And you can choose not to use that power of self-awareness. Anybody can. But once we know, that's when we get our power back. And that's the cool thing about it. So there were a lot of times when I was doing, and I still refer to the Enneagram. I started, the first time I ever heard about it was like maybe 2015 or so.
Okay.
And my pastor at church brought it up, and he's an 8, and he like I knew nothing about it. He was like, yeah, I'm just going to say about 8s. And I immediately was like, ugh, like that's embarrassing because I felt like it was me. And then years later, my friend was like, you know about the Enneagram? I was like, I've heard of it before, but I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
And when I dove into it, there's a state of embarrassment. There's a state of feeling very seen, right? You're like, somebody took your diary and wrote it on a piece of paper and they don't even know you.
Yeah.
Like, ouch. And then I was like, you're just like, oh my God. And then I'm like, okay, like, let's use this.
Yeah.
Like, let's do something about it. Like, I'm seeing some things that I've been doing subconsciously for a long time that I didn't even realize that this is what was making me operate this way. This was my motivation. And so it really is a superpower to know.
Yeah. Taking care of yourself first and foremost helps you become a better mom, partner, all those things. How does, you know, focusing on your health and your wellness shape you as a mom or a partner, in your opinion?
You know, I think the biggest way it shapes me, and it's funny that it still comes down to, I feel like it comes to 2 things. The first one is like how much you value yourself. And I think sometimes we don't realize that we are devaluing ourselves until we've already done it, right? Like, if you would have told single Eleanor that I devalued myself, I would have laughed in your face.
Yes.
You know, I'd been like, nah, girl, it's like, I can take care of myself. But that's like those things that are operating kind of like on the background because you don't have a lot going on. You don't have kids, you don't have a husband, you don't have a dog, a house, all those things. You're just a single person. And you don't realize that it's not taking a lot of effort because you don't have a lot of other things on your plate.
Sure.
So the first thing, like health and wellness, is really about like how much do you value yourself? And that's one of the biggest things that I see with my clients is they're like, well, but what if, you know, my kid has something?
Mm-hmm.
What if your kid has something? How are you still going to make sure you're taking care of you?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that will always happen. Unpredictable things will always happen, but are you scheduling it in for yourself? Are you making sure without a doubt that it happens? And if there's a day that it can't happen, that you get right back into it the next day because it's on your schedule, right? So it's about like truly valuing yourself. And I saw this quote recently that said something about, you know, the reason why we don't follow through with commitments to ourselves is because we don't respect ourselves.
Wow.
And I was like, ooh.
Wow.
Because, you know, you go to work, you show up on time, you know, you do the job that you have to do, you know, you do it for your kids, do it for your husband. If you're married, you do it for, you know, your church, if you serve at church. But then when we put something on our calendar, we're like, oh, I'll push it to tomorrow. I'll push it tomorrow. If you told your boss you were going to push something to tomorrow for 2 months, you'd be fired.
Right.
It's about, you know, yeah. So it's like, and when I read that, I'm like, wow, I push things off all the time. I thought I respected myself, but maybe I've lost respect for myself. Right. You know, maybe I don't know. So that is one thing. The other thing is it still boils down to my kids. I want to be a good example for them. And when they see me taking care of myself and they want to join in, love it. You know, like it's about showing them that they matter. They can see that they matter because I show them that I matter to myself. And me taking care of myself does not limit how well I take care of them.
Right.
When I am mom, I am mom.
Yeah.
And that's why you have to prioritize it in a way that works for you. I don't like to miss a lot of time with my kids, so I like to do things in the morning and at night when they go to bed.
Yeah.
I have friends who, you know, like their husband may say, hey, every other Saturday, take a Saturday until noon just for you. I'll take the kids. If that works for you, then do that.
Yeah.
Because I do believe they deserve the best version of you. You know, we see all these like memes or like, you know, TikTok reels, whatever, like, oh, this is how I look when I take my kids to school. And you're just like, you know, PJs and your hair is all crazy. And that's funny, right? And that's also reality.
Mm-hmm.
And also, what if it didn't have to be that way?
Right.
Like, it could also be that you're like, I'm not okay with that anymore. And I want to make sure for nobody else, for me, that I am taking care of myself. And that was also a big switch for me. I used to be this person that was like when I would go to work, I don't work in the office anymore, but when I used to go to an office, I used to be like, I don't want to wear my cute clothes to work because I don't want to taint my cute clothes. You know, like I want to wear those when I'm going to be out and about and everybody's going to see me and blah, blah. And now I look back and I'm like, but you could have just done it for yourself.
Yeah.
You know, like you could have just been getting dressed to make yourself feel good. Because I really do believe in look good, feel good.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I learned that in sports in high school, and our coaches are like, game days, you dress up. And I'm like, why though? And they would keep saying, look good, play good. To that, like, and like that, it didn't mean anything to me at first, but then I was like, yeah, but you have this like air of confidence, and you're like, yes, I've got it, like I'm good, and not saying that you can't feel that in like leggings and a t-shirt, you can, but you tend to just like walk with your chin up a little bit higher, be like, I look good, I feel good, I'm like ready to take on this day. This is going to like your outlook on the entire day changes when you look, when you're like, yes, girl, look at you.
Yes, I know, exactly. And it even comes down to like what underwear you're wearing. You know, like if you're wearing the holy underwear, you don't feel good. Like, you cannot lie and tell me that you feel good in those holy underwear. And we're all guilty of it. Don't get me wrong.
Yes.
I have them too. We all have the period panties and all that. Like, we're all guilty.
Yep.
And also, when you're not on your period, I'm going to need you to pull out the cute undies.
I feel you.
It's small things, though. Small efforts, right? Perfume. Like, how long does it take? If you want to smell good, spray a little perfume. Find a new body oil or lotion that you like. Like, there's so many small things that we can do that will translate over the time. And it's not, you know, let me backtrack. It's not just about this physical stuff too, because I truly believe like the mental and spiritual work also needs to be done. You can look good all day. If you don't feel good about yourself on the inside, it will not translate. Absolutely. So it has to be all. That's why, like, when I work with my clients and even my friends, whoever, I'm like, okay, but what else are we doing? Like, what? And if you're saying I want to work out more, why? Because everybody wants to work out to lose weight, right? Like, that's like low hanging fruit. I want to work out to lose weight. And I had a client recently that was like, yeah, like, you know, I want to lose this much pounds. I was like, okay, let's forget about the weight for a second. Right. When you work out, how do you feel? Oh, I feel this, this, and this. Okay, so forget the weight. How many times can you commit to yourself in a week that you're going to work out so that you can feel that? However many times. Okay, I can do it 2 times a week. Excellent. Like 4 weeks into the program, she's like, oh my gosh, I've lost 10 pounds. We weren't even, who cares about the weight? How do you feel? How does working out make you feel? Do you feel lighter afterwards, or do you feel like I never want to ever do that again? Most people feel better. You talk yourself out of doing it before doing it, and after you're always like, wow, I feel really good.
That's me every single time I work out. When I'm about to do it, and then afterwards I'm like, did it.
Yeah, I know. And you're like, wow, like, why do I feel so good? And it's like, if only you can remember that before.
It's so refreshing, like when you remember why you're doing certain things and what you're getting from it for your soul, not for the outside world. And just like you said, like putting on perfume, like I don't need anyone to smell me. I smell me, and like that makes me feel really good. Like this is awesome. And like I have 3 boys, and they'll come into my room. Like I have a vanity, and I love just sitting there. Like it taps into just my feminine energy, just sitting at my vanity and be like, I'm just gonna do my mascara real quick and, you know, check my eyebrows or whatever, like something real simple. But they're like, why do you do that? It just a simple, I'm just gonna put on mascara today because it makes me feel good. Like just that tiny step. I don't have to like schedule putting on mascara. I don't have to set aside special time to do that. Nope, I'm just checking in with myself real quick, and I feel better about the rest of the day just from that little moment, that little gesture that I give to myself. That's it.
Right.
It's
Right.
amazing. I love it. Oh my gosh. I feel like so good today now.
Yes.
I'm just having the craziest morning today. And just this conversation, I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm sitting up taller now. Like at first I was just like, y'all. Best energy for today. Oh my gosh.
Oh yes, I love it. I love it.
I'm over here knocking over microphones because I'm happy, but that's fine. It's so important, and I love sharing this kind of information with moms because we forget how important we are to us. Like we need to be number one all the time to ourselves,
Yes.
all the time, because this is at the end of the day, yes, our children deserve the best of us, and we pour into them so much, but at the end of the day, this is our one life to live. This is our one journey that we have, and so it's so important to just like really focus on and being intentional about taking care of ourselves. It's so important, and I think we forget that often. We forget that so often that, you know, and we're so busy doing all the things for everybody. And at the end of the day, like, we are all we have at the end of the day.
Right.
This is me. This is it. And I love sharing this with moms because it is very easy to forget. So
the number one tip that I have 3, but my number one is that you have to schedule it in.
Mm-hmm.
That is number one. Mm-hmm. It has to be something that is in your Google Calendar, on your planner, whatever. Until it's ingrained in you, you schedule it in. And even once it is, why not just have it on your Google Calendar living forever? Yeah. And that makes the biggest difference. It can't be, if my kids go to bed on time, then I will X. It has to be something that you can do at that time always. So if your kids go to bed between 7 and 8:30 and you never know what you're going to get, don't schedule anything until 8:45. Yeah. And maybe that may take away from other things that you do. So here's the next thing: reprioritizing. I used to, like, even very recently, there's life challenges all the time and you have to adjust, right? It used to be as soon as I put my kids down, it's like TV. Like, I am doing something mindless, I'm scrolling, whatever. Mm-hmm. That can be self-care up to a point. Right. And then at that point, it's like kind of self-deprecating too. So it's like, okay, you got to reel it in. And recently I started just like immediately when they go down, I go into a dark room, I do my like hip exercises, and I meditate. Yeah. I have caught myself watching so much less TV and I feel so much better. Sure, so I had to kind of, right. And I had to reprioritize. Like, that was me saying like, okay, this isn't working for your mental health. Reprioritize something that does. And then after that, if you have time to catch up on TV or scroll or whatever, then you can do that, because those aren't priorities. Those are, extra things. And I do think we need to shut our brains off. Don't get me wrong. We definitely need to shut our brains off. But that, it's just about reprioritizing your time. Yeah. And so I want to say, and I stand on this, I am not a morning person, and I wake up at 5:30 every morning. Mm-hmm. So sometimes people are like, okay, but I'm not a morning person, so I can't wake up before my kids. No, you can. If you knew me before kids, you would know this is not natural for me. Right. But I gained so much from it. So many people, so many experts say moms need to wake up earlier. And so many moms say, I'm too tired to do it. You will be tired when you first wake up, but you will actually have more energy because you were able to wake up before your kids sounded the alarm. Yeah. It's huge. So that's the biggest thing, is you have to schedule it in. I also like to say, like, to take baby steps. If you see somebody on whatever social media platform doing a 7-step skincare routine and an all-day self-care day, do not jump in and try and do that 7-step routine and an all-day self-care day. They live a different life than you, different reality, and you are just starting out. You can't build a habit and add 20 things at once and think that you're going to hold all 20 things. What happens is you end up trying to do that, and then you feel like you failed because you couldn't keep up with it, and then you revert back, if not even backtrack from where you started. So you have to start small. It has to be like these little baby steps. And then you just have to find what works for you. There's, don't worry about what somebody else says is self-care. If, like I said at the beginning, if it fills your cup, it's self-care.
Yeah. And you brought up a great
outside of drugs or something,
right.
like, let's not.
No, that's not self-care. Stop that.
Yeah. Let me clarify.
It doesn't have to be like mommy juice every night. Like, no.
Yeah.
That's unhealthy.
Right, exactly.
And you brought up a great point, like remembering that it is okay to make adjustments. Like, you were watching TV as soon as the kids went down. Like, okay, this isn't serving me anymore. And recognizing that and then being okay with making that change. A lot of us get stuck in, this is just what I do. But it doesn't always have to be that way. If it's not serving you, then you can switch it up. You can change and do something that is really going to fill your cup and make you feel great about life in general. So many people, I know so many people, and myself included, that are just used to the habit and like, this is just what I do. So being aware of that and noticing like, this isn't doing what I thought it was doing.
Yeah. And speaking of habits, like there's a big thing about like, once you recognize that you have a habit, you tell like, okay, this is every time I get bored, I scroll. Mm-hmm. Then you have to rewire to make a new habit. So then the thing is, I'm bored, I go to my phone and I scroll, and now I say, I'm going to walk my phone to the other side of the room. And that's my new habit. And then after a while, you're just not as engaged with your phone. Those are little things of like, once again, like self-awareness, recognizing. I do a lot of, habit breaking and building with my clients, because we're habitual creatures. Almost everything we do at the age of, I'm 33 and, probably even before then, is some sort of habit that's like ingrained in us that we just have to kind of break. So yeah, start small, schedule it in, do what works for you. Those are my biggest takeaways.
And I can totally attest to the whole getting up at 5:30 thing. I am not a morning person either. I am a night owl all day, every day. I'm like, it's 2:30 in the morning. I should probably go to bed. But I've had to start like really focusing on what is it that I want to accomplish? Do I want to have a good start to the day and feel like everything is going smoothly and I'm in control? Like, those are the things I need. So it's like, okay, I started getting up at 5:30 about a year ago, and I hated it. I absolutely hated it. But I loved knowing that like the kids' lunches are made and breakfast is on the table before they're even up, and I've had coffee and listened to a podcast, and I'm not like angry at the world. Like, if the first sound I hear in the morning is someone knocking on my door saying like, Mom, he touched me, or what, like, I don't do that. I cannot do that. That cannot be the first sound I hear out of sleep. Like, no. So I started getting up early, and it became a habit, and I realized how much benefit I was getting from it. I was like, well, I guess this is my life now. Like, this is what I know.
I know. If you would have asked like, 22-year-old Eleanor, like, oh, do you think you'll be a morning person when you grow up? Heck no. Nope. Absolutely not. No way. And here I am like pushing moms to wake up earlier. And like
it does work wonders for just your entire day. Like, okay, I've had some time to myself. I got dressed and no one was talking to me. Awesome. Mm-hmm. That is a game changer.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So worth it. And even you said drinking coffee, listening to a podcast, listening to an audiobook, all self-care. It's filling your cup, right? Like, you have scheduled that into your morning that you do those things. Yeah. And also not rushing, self-care. I'm not like a trauma specialist by any means. I just do my own TikTok research and whatnot. Yeah. But like, it is a trauma response to always feel like you're rushing, going. Yeah. Like, I got to a point, and I'm, when I was in the hospital as a nurse, like, people were like, run, we have to go get this. And it's like, this isn't an emergency. I don't run anymore. Yeah. Like, I walk. Yep. I'll see you there, because I'm typically always going, and they're like, oh, like, you're so slow. How come you don't walk faster? Because what am I rushing for? Right. Like, I don't want to rush. It gives me anxiety to rush. Like, I don't want to do it. I'm telling my body that there's something emergent when there is not anything emergent. Why am I doing that? So, all of that. You don't realize all the little things that you're doing self-care.
Tell everyone where they can find you and learn more about you, and what you do. And if they want to, I know you mentioned you do coaching, and if anyone is interested in finding your services, where do they find you?
Yeah, so they can go to embracethemombod.com. I also have my Instagram at Embrace the Mom Bod. And I offer an 8-week package, a 12-week package. I also offer one-off sessions, a schedule audit, like some, I'll go through a mom's schedule and like look at things that we can shift, things that we can remove, and like prioritize, self-care. And, like I said, passion projects, it's all in there. Like, we got to prioritize you. Like you said, you're number one. Mom is number one. And then a self-care audit too. Like some moms really need to, like, they have lost themselves and they just need help finding what makes them feel good, and getting different options on how they can incorporate it into their lives and what options they have for self-care. And I also started something new. I'm hiring some contractors, preferably moms, so I'm trying to put some moms on. If they want to help me find clients, they get paid per client that they bring to me. And they also get a discount on any services that they want from me too. So I'm not a salesperson. I love to coach, but I very much believe in the power of the word of mouth and just spreading the word. And so I just want some moms who are passionate about self-care and health and wellness for moms after becoming a mom and getting bogged down. If they want to spread the word for me, then I want them. So
that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. That was so much incredible information. I feel like so many moms just needed to hear what you have to say. And like, if anyone's like me, like a switch just flipped, right? Like, oh my gosh, duh. Like all these little things that you forget until someone brings it up to you and you're like, oh yeah, okay, yep, you're right. Okay. So some of us just needed that reminder. So I appreciate your reminder this morning. And I feel like the day is going to go so much better than it was now just talking to you.
Well, good. And I'm happy. I'm so happy to share and to talk. So
all right. Well, I will share all of your information in our show notes. And then of course we'll spread the word for you.
Awesome. Thanks, Ashley.
Thank you. Hey, Houston, I want to hear from you. Would you like to be a guest on the Cold Coffee Club? Send me a message at thecoldcoffeeclubhm@gmail.com. That's thecoldcoffeeclubhm, like Houston moms, @gmail.com. Can't wait to hear from you.
All right, y'all, it was great talking with Eleanor. I hope you learned so much about self-care and how important it is. We all know the saying of you can't pour from an empty cup. And, it's super important how we take care of ourselves as moms and how that then reflects on our children. Taking care of yourself is not selfish. Again, it's not selfish to make sure that you're good first and foremost. So you always come first. So make sure you're taking care of yourself. So for our Houston Moms House Blend this week, I am spotlighting a post that we have on the site right now. It is called Single Parent, Here's How to Survive the Holidays with Your Kids. And so if you're like me, some holidays come and go where you're not able to spend them with your kids because it's their time with their dad. I went through that during Thanksgiving this year. And it was tough, and it's tough every year. Whatever holiday I don't get to spend with my kiddos, it's really hard to just wrap my mind around the fact that I'm not part of every single holiday tradition with them. Now, thankfully, at least for me, my ex-husband and I, we're welcome to come celebrate the holidays. This year I have Christmas with the boys, and I'll have certain things where it's just me and them, which is great. And then I think at some point their dad's going to come over and see them open presents, things like that. But, while we don't do the holidays necessarily together, the door is still open if you'd like to come and be part of certain things. Yes, so there's some balance there. But for some parents who don't have that kind of relationship, which is, it's hard to navigate having that kind of relationship in general. I will tell you, it is hard to navigate that. So Brianna Griff wrote this post about celebrating the holidays without your kids and kind of just creating new traditions if you need to, get through that, and she spotlights And she recommends, celebrating a little bit early if you can. If you don't get to have your kids on Christmas, maybe just making it a week early or something so that you can have that fun with your kids. Creating some new traditions for your family might be a great way to kind of cope with the fact that you can't do all the things together. Taking care of yourself during that time is super important, and that ties so well with our self-care episode because, making sure that you're okay. It's going to be tough regardless, but making sure that you're going to be okay, that you're filling some of those needs for yourself as well. When your kids aren't with you for the holidays, and then focusing on your kids' happiness, putting them first, making sure that their needs are being met, that they're having a good time with you, and that you can create some of that fun and those memories with you, even if they're not going to be there on that specific holiday. So yeah, check out that post. It should be very helpful for single parents. It's a hard time of year, especially when your family's separated and all that. So taking care of yourself and finding the good is probably going to be, your saving grace for this time of year. It's hard, but you can do it. My See You Later Caffeinator today is, of course, all about self-care and embracing the mom bod, like we talked about with Eleanor. She mentioned that she made it a holiday. And if you don't know about National Mom Bod Day, it's actually July 31st. And it's the perfect time to just embrace your body, the skin you're in, and celebrating what you've done as a mom, especially. So Eleanor mentioned that when she created this holiday, the process of kind of losing parts of yourself as a mom and forgetting your old self is really hard to combat. And so she created this day because there are too many pressures on women after they have babies. They are pressured to get back to normal. That snapback culture is running rampant. Making sure that you are taking care of you, that you're embracing who you are, whatever flaws you might be perceiving in yourself, putting those aside and just recognizing, hey, my body has done certain things, my body has gone through certain things, and here I am functioning. I'm still strong, I'm still amazing, I'm still beautiful. Let's not forget about that. So she recommends, maybe posting a photo of yourself on social media in an outfit that really makes you feel great in your body as a mom, promoting self-confidence, promoting self-expression. Kind of doing that will help you remember how important you are, regardless of what stage you're in motherhood, what you look like. Just knowing that you have that level of confidence to respect yourself and to love yourself. That's the perfect way to celebrate National Mom Bod Day. So make sure to mark your calendar for July 31st. But of course, you don't need a holiday to embrace your mom bod. Love your body every single day. You've done amazing things. And even if you're not a mom, this is a message for everybody out there. Love yourself. Love the skin you're in. It is amazing. It's perfect. It's awesome. If you see things you want to improve, go for it, but also appreciate your body during that process of improvements that you want to see. So again, mark your calendar for July 31st to be intentional about embracing your mom bod. Thanks so much for joining the Cold Coffee Club today. We can't wait to see you next week.
You've been listening to the Cold Coffee Club, brought to you by Houston Moms. We wish you a fabulous week with your families and look forward to sharing many more cups of cold coffee with you.